I'm a wine cheapskate at heart. There's a thrill of the hunt when you can find a wine that tastes twice as much as it cost. Like if you go to a discount warehouse outlet store and you find a Versace jacket that's 10% of its original cost. And one of my biggest tips that came out of that book was go south. So a lot of the badge or name regions in many countries are expensive. So if you think Tuscany and Piedmont, if you go south, you're going to get deals from Sicily. Even in California, Napa and Sonoma, go south to Paso Robles or Santa Cruz, and you're going to find much more affordable wines. Do you have a thirst to learn about wine? Do you love stories about wonderfully obsessive people, hauntingly beautiful places, and amusingly awkward social situations? Well, that's the blend here on the Unreserved Wine Talk podcast. I'm your host, Natalie McLean, and each week I share with you unfiltered conversations with celebrities in the wine world, as well as confessions from my own tipsy journey as I write my third book on this subject. I'm so glad you're here. Now pass me that bottle, please, and let's get started. Welcome to episode 197. Which candy-based trick can you use to teach yourself about new flavors and aromas in wine? What makes discovering a bargain wine more exciting than a luxury wine? And what does the tip go south mean when it comes to finding hidden values? You'll hear those tips and stories in part 2 of my chat with Lori Budd, winemaker, writer, and host of the Exploring the Wine Glass podcast. Lori's actually interviewing me, and you don't have to have listened to part 1 from last week first, but I hope you'll go back if you missed it after you finish this one. Now, on a personal note, before we dive into the show with the continuing story of publishing my new wine memoir, Wine Witch on Fire, Rising from the Ashes of Divorce, Defamation, and Drinking Too Much. I'm continuing on with things I'm looking for in the copy editing phase for my book, as these might be helpful to you in your own writing, whatever the medium. So I'm looking to get rid of words that end in ly. They are the enemy. These are usually adverbs modifying a wimpy verb. So for example, she closed the door forcefully. Closed, too weak. Change it to, she slammed the door. And then you've gotten rid of the ly wimpy verb or adjective. I'm also trying to paint a picture in my mind when I write a scene. There are many questions I ask myself, but one would be, how would the light be hitting someone? Would the evening rays be creating an amber halo around his hair? Or would the morning sunlight be illuminating every feature on his face? It helps the reader visualize as well. Got some tips to share on how you improve your writing? Let me know. I've posted a link to a blog post called Diary of a Book Launch in the show notes at nataliemclean.com/197. This is where I share more behind-the-scenes stories about the journey of taking this memoir from idea to publication. If you want a more intimate insider seat beside me on this journey, please let me know that you'd like to become a beta reader and get a sneak peek at the manuscript. Email me at natalie@nataliemclean.com. Okay, on with the show.
Now, your second book, again, you're taking it so seriously. Unquenchable, a tipsy quest for the world's best bargain wines. So that is very important because not everybody can enjoy that Cristal. So
Exactly. Yeah. And really, Lori, I'm a wine cheapskate at heart. So, the best wine is the one somebody else bought for you. But there's a thrill of the hunt when you can find a wine that tastes twice as much as it cost. Like, anybody can splash down a lot of money. Well, some people can for whatever, Cristal or whatever you're drinking. But to me, it's like the thrill of the hunt. Like if you go to a discount warehouse outlet store and you find a Versace jacket that's 10% of its original cost. It's like, there's a story there. I found this jacket, it fit, and I only paid 10%. there's something thrilling about that.
Yeah.
You can find the values. Yeah. So I'm always on the hunt. And I think a lot of our listeners, readers want to enjoy wine, but, don't have a trust fund. And so finding those undiscovered gems is part of that. And one of my biggest tips that came out of that book was go south. So a lot of the badge or name regions in many countries are expensive. So if you think Northern Italy, Tuscany and Piedmont, if you go south, you're going to get deals from Sicily. Even in California, Napa and Sonoma, go south to Paso Robles or Santa Cruz or wherever, and you're going to find much more affordable wines.
I actually have never thought about that, but that is so true. Like, as you're talking, my brain is going through the different countries, and it is. You're absolutely
Like
right.
France, Bordeaux, Burgundy, go south, Languedoc, Provence.
Right.
You're going to pay a lot less.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is it right there, folks. Worthy right there. That's the worthy tip of the day. Holy cow.
Well, that's your region too.
Yeah.
Paso Robles, spectacular wines. And, quality, I think, underpriced compared to Napa and Sonoma.
Just a bit. Just a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have some friends up north that keep telling me I should increase the price of our wines. And I'm like, no, I don't need to charge my customers $95 for my bottle. Like,
Right.
To me, that's insane. Like,
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for your service then, Lori.
Like, that's a little bit crazy. You know what? On the other end, kudos to them if they're getting it too. It's just how you approach your business sense, I guess,
Sure.
That is an excellent tip and so spot on that I have never even thought about that, but absolutely go south.
Good.
And
Excellent.
Sicily, Etna, love it, love it, love it.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful island.
So also, I'm going to make you blush eventually. I'm going to keep trying.
I am. I've got makeup on. Don't worry. You've done it.
So the James Beard 4 times. I don't know. That sounds like a record to me. I don't think anybody has won the James Beard 4 times. You've got the MFK Fisher Award and the Burt Green Awards. And these are all culinary related awards. So obviously you have a deep affection for food. So how do you describe that food and wine relationship?
So I think like great partnerships, all great partnerships, they elevate each other. Who is it? Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. That's often brought up, but peanut butter and jelly, ice cream and chocolate sauce. I think wine and food, when you've got a great match, give you this sensory cloud of pleasure that you would not get with just the wine alone or just the food alone. It is the interaction, the interplay of all the taste, the texture, the weight. And I think there's something that also happens in that you don't satiate out so early of the wine or the food if you are just having those on their own. It's like when we put on perfume, at first it's strong, you can smell the perfume, but then you become oblivious to the perfume. But what happens in food and wine is if you keep alternating, it's like a reminder, oh yeah, there's that food taste. Oh yeah, there's that wine taste. It doesn't fade into the background. It's a sensory playground that continues longer in the partnership.
I always think of, and people laugh at me, but Ratatouille. Have you seen Ratatouille?
Yes, that movie. Yes, it's adorable. The cartoon little rat who's a chef.
Who's the chef? And anyone can cook, right? That's the whole motto of it. Anyone can cook. But the scene where he is trying to teach his brother what food is really, right? And he gives him a little piece of the strawberry and the brother's like, yeah, blah, 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 and then he gives him a little piece of cheese. And the brother's like, yeah. And it's got like music notes going up, but then he takes the strawberry and the cheese and he puts them both in and a symphony comes together
That's a great example. I love that.
I absolutely love that movie from start to finish. But that scene of him trying to explore what food or teach what food can do is an amazing scene. So,
love it.
One of my favorite movies. Most of my favorite movies are cartoons. There's so much more that meets the eye to these cartoons, I tell you.
Absolutely. Many levels.
Yep. So that brings me to when you're cooking dinner, right? So we spoke previously and I said that I'm not really a foodie. I can appreciate food, but there's a lot of foods I don't eat. So that's why I'm a boring food person. But when you're cooking a meal, do you start with the wine and then say, this is the meal I'm going to make with this wine? Or do you start with the food and then say, yeah, I think this is the wine that's going to go with it?
So I am a wine first kind of gal, just like I buy earrings or shoes first and then find an outfit that will accommodate them. I'm going to sound like some frivolous shopper who just spends her days at outlet stores. But fortunately, my partner, Miles, he is a great cook. I don't cook, I pull corks. And he's very adaptable in many aspects of our relationship. So I will pull out a wine, say, what can you make that will go with this? And yeah, he's very good at doing that. So yeah,
Nice.
wine first.
Wine first. All right. Okay. And, that is a skill, I think. These chefs that they're doing a wine tasting dinner and they're tasting the wine and they just create quite the thing. And we know that there's those basic rules of what goes with what, and things like that. But the way they can explore it, it's a skill. It's a skill. So
It
kudos
is.
to
It
Miles. Tell
definitely is.
Miles, good
Yes,
job.
I will.
So what is your favorite pairing?
Well, Pinot Noir with more Pinot Noir, but Pinot with veal or any dish that doesn't overwhelm the
Okay.
Pinot, because it really is the star of the meal for me and it's my go-to wine.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say and I do love cool climate, California Pinots. Of course, we have lots of great Pinots here in Canada and Burgundy if somebody else is buying, of course.
Oh, yep. There you go.
Yep.
So I have a little funny story of Pinot. When we first started getting into wine and we would go visit Napa Sonoma and, the Carneros and things like that, and we would taste Pinot. And every single time I tasted Pinot, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. There's something wrong. Like not wrong, but like to my palate, there's something wrong with it. No, I don't like this wine.
Sure.
And tasting it, my husband likes Pinot and he would like try to sneak one in and go, and I'm like, no, I don't like it. Like tasting it. I didn't know I was tasting Pinot. I'm like, no, I don't like it. There's something weird. That's all I kept saying. Weird. And as we got into wine and we really started learning how to appreciate wine and start doing a little of those wine descriptors going on, what I realized was every time I said, ooh, weird, people said strawberry.
Oh.
And I am deathly allergic to strawberry.
Oh, okay.
So now, just for people who are listening, strawberries are not in wine unless you're drinking strawberry wine. Okay.
Sure.
But there is the flavor of strawberry. But because I'm deathly allergic to strawberry, my brain didn't know what that was.
Yes.
It just was weird. I had no way of describing what I was tasting because my brain doesn't know strawberry.
Right.
And once I was able to say, ooh, it's that weird thing again. Okay, I can now say that's strawberry. I still don't really know what a strawberry tastes like, but my brain has now been remapped to recognize that sensation or that taste to be strawberry. And now I love Pinot. I absolutely love Pinot.
You can reassure your brain you're not going to die of apoplectic shock or whatever.
It just was, I don't know what it is. So every time I tasted it, all I could say is, no, it's a weird taste. I don't know, and it's just, and the scientist in me, my brain was remapped to learn. It was a different way of learning what a strawberry was because my palate doesn't know what a strawberry is because if I taste it, I don't remember what I taste because I'm too busy shooting myself up with something,
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And
great story. Yeah.
That's why today when people tell me, well, how do you know what this tastes like, one of my favorite things to tell them to do is because I'm cheap. You can go to a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's and go buy all those funky little fruits that are out there and taste what they all taste like so that your palate learns what it is. But that's probably going to add up to quite a bit. But I always tell them, go to Jelly Belly and go pick out jelly beans of all the different flavors that Jelly Belly has and then taste the jelly bean. And that will tell you because, that's the flavor, right? So
that's true. And even though the jelly beans are sweet, if you are eating them and then breathing out the retronasal, right, you'll get that aroma sense of, apart from the sugar of whether it's, hot pepper or whatever it is. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah. That's my Pinot story. And, it does confuse some people. So I always preface it, no, there's no strawberries in there. I was not having an allergic reaction. It's just your brain. And being the scientist that I am, that always is an incredible thing. And it teaches you can remap your brain. You can always teach a dog new tricks.
Or to drink Pinot Noir.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But you're right. And you're the scientist, you know better, but Pinot will have molecular structures that mimic the molecular structure in strawberries. So it's not strawberry, but it's going to smell or taste like strawberry. And obviously your brain was picking that up, going, warning, danger, danger.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. That was the only word I can say. No, there's something weird in this. And at the very beginning, people were thinking I was saying it was corked. No, it's just weird. But listening to other people taste, which is another great tip for people who are learning wine. A, don't be afraid to say what you taste, but B, listen to what other people are saying and try to correlate to what you're getting. You're training your palate.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like you have to lift weights to get muscles, you got to lift wine to train that palate.
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now I have to go to the opposite. What is your most disastrous pairing?
Right. So I had always heard that you could pair full-bodied reds with chocolate. And my big mistake was not picking up full-bodied enough Cabernet and then doing milk chocolate, which was it was gross. Oh. It was really gross. But later I learned that not only does, say, fortified wines, do they work better, like port or whatever, Banyuls, sherry, but you need to get the darkest chocolate you can find if you want to be nice to your wine. So the reason is that dark chocolate, it has the least amount of sugar, the least amount of dairy content versus milk chocolate, which has a lot more. And those things are very, very mean to wine. And so the combination didn't work. And thank God I wasn't doing it on Valentine's Day. I would have ruined the evening, but it was oh, this is just gross. The chocolate was making the wine taste metallic or something weird. But I learned. I was scarred, but I learned.
But it's a memory you will always remember.
Oh, yeah. It's gross.
Yeah. Milk chocolate, if you think about it, it's take a glass of milk and then take a glass of wine or a sip of wine.
Yes.
And,
Yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A big stop sign needs to be on that,
Exactly. A warning. Wine bottle should come with a warning. Don't do milk chocolate.
Yes, absolutely. I like it. So let's talk about your website, because it is the largest wine review site based in Canada. You actually have more than 3.2 million visitors a year, and you have over 300,000 people signed up for your newsletter. So obviously, people recognize that you are a fantastic source for wine. How did the website come about, and how do you manage that?
By the way, my mom's going to love this podcast, Lori. Just you should be checking off her little list. Anyway, so I started the website in the Paleolithic era of websites, at least in the wine industry. I started one in 2000 when there weren't a lot. But I came from high tech. And I just think websites and social media and mobile apps, they work really well with wine, even though you'd think, oh my gosh, technology, that's new stuff. Wine, that's kind of old, traditional. But wine, it has so much information attached to it. Each bottle, that can have 30 pieces of info. So if you really want to take a deep dive, technology is your friend. If the user interface, the design is friendly and not confusing. So with the website, one of the first things I did was to create food and wine pairing tools. So they're there to this day, and I'm always updating them. But you can start with a wine or start with a food. Let's say you start with a food. I'm having roast chicken. It will take you through an interactive little matcher there. Okay, you could try Chardonnay, etc. And then you can narrow down to what type of Chardonnay, like what type of style. And then it'll take you to the next screen, which would be my latest reviews of that style of Chardonnay. And then you can go another screen, which stores have this Chardonnay in stock right now. So it's on the mobile apps as well, but it takes you from start to finish. Or you can say, I already have this Chardonnay. What dishes should I be considering? So I just think technology, if it's harnessed, can be our friend when it comes to wine, which can be so overwhelming. Technology can pinpoint the answers we need or the bottles or the wines we want.
That's incredible to be able to go to one site and do that. And then, I mean, I'm good with computers. Like, I'm usually the person in the family and the friends where they're like, how do I do this? And like programs, I'm great at working out programs. But on the tailspin, that coding to make that program, like I'm happy when I can put a box around the text on my blog, like, woohoo, I HTML'd that, you know,
Uh-huh.
or have flashing text. Woo, Of course, it took me 10 hours to do that, but I did it. Like, that's incredible to have all that in one resource, but that's got to be mind blowing on the back end.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have an excellent web developer, so I'm not doing the coding, thank goodness, because I would be making a mess of it. But he's fabulous, and he's been with me for like more than 15 years. So it's a good partnership.
And it's constantly being updated, which
Yes.
is phenomenal. Now, is there free access and there's a paywall and free access? So what's the difference between those two?
So I'd say 98% of the content is free, like all the articles, the pairing tools, the mobile apps, etc. So what I charge for, and it's a subscription of about $3 a month, is my wine reviews from the last 20 days. So the most recent wine reviews. And after that, as they age out 21 days and older, they're free and open access. So that's the subscription, the paywall part. It's just those last 20 days of reviews.
And that's only $3 a month. My goodness, that's
Yep.
like not even a Starbucks. Like
Yeah. Yes, I'd like to compare it.
that's not even a single glass of wine.
That's true. Not these days. No, that's a sample taster or something.
Right,
Not
that's
even.
a taster.
Anyway.
That's a taster. We just were in Santa Cruz, and when we go on vacation, we kind of do some beer tasting also. And we were blown away by the price of the beers. Like it was $9 for a pint of beer now. So I'm like,
Wow.
we need to get the cost things down a bit. This is insane.
Yeah.
This is
Everything's
insane.
going up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that is incredible. So can you just tell what is the website? Because that is a phenomenal resource.
Sure. It's my name, which can be spelled a whole lot of ways, but it's Natalie MacLean. So it's NATALIEMACLEAN, nataliemaclean.com. If you Google Natalie and wine, I think I'll come up.
It will come up. It
Yeah.
will come up. Trust me, it comes up. It comes up. And then your podcast, because you obviously have so much spare time on your hands, right?
Why not?
Your podcast is Unreserved Wine Talk. And so I am honored to have been a guest on. So
You were fabulous. The stories you told, terrific interview.
thank you. Thank you. So when did you get into podcasting? Because you were way ahead of the game with the website. Were you ahead of the game with the podcast?
I had tried back in 2008, but the tools weren't available. It was just painful. Like, the tools we have today make it so much easier. So I wasn't as early an adopter of podcasting. I got into it in 2018.
Okay.
And yeah, it's weekly and absolutely love it because most of my episodes are interviews like yours. And it allows me to be nosy and impertinent. And especially as an introvert, I get to ask questions I would never ask at a dinner party. Like, what's your best failure? And what did you learn from it? It's like, you can't blurt that out over dinner. It's like, what? You could, Lori. You were an extrovert. Me, I just sit there quietly during dinner and hope somebody asks me a question.
Yeah. Well, you can ask it. Might not go over so well, but you can ask
Right.
it. Trust me.
Right. Yeah. Someone needs to be cut off. Stop asking those questions.
That's the benefit of being an extrovert. When you're an extrovert, nobody knows when you've had too much because you're just always that way. So there's really no difference.
Yeah, they know when I've woken up. It's like, oh, okay, she's back. Anyway.
All right. So being an introvert, I don't know if this is a good thing for an introvert or a bad thing, but if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could only have one wine, so I'll give you the benefit, one variety. Doesn't only have to be one wine, one variety. But unlimited supply. You can't get off of the island. You're like Gilligan's Island. You can get all this stuff. You can have radios. You can have all these things, but you can't get off that island. So
That sounds like heaven for an introvert.
Right?
I love it. No more people.
There you
No, I'm
go.
kidding.
Unlimited wine variety. What variety would it be?
That is so easy. Domaine Romani Conti from Burgundy, which is a Pinot Noir. And yeah, it's pricey, but since there's an unlimited supply and budget, that's awesome. I'm good to go. I'll see you in 20 years. Yep.
Just keep dropping down those cases. Not a
Exactly.
problem.
No need for a rescue, actually. Just leave me here. I'm good.
All right. So Pinot Noir and a very specific Pinot Noir. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I have not had that, but I will have to try. Tell me about the wine, because I know nothing about that. So I know Burgundy, but...
Yeah. So that was in Red, White, and Drunk all over as well. I got to taste that. And again, people say, how do you get to taste all these? It's because of the readers I bring with me. It's not me. I'm not special. They know, especially with these tasting rooms that are not open to the public, they know that I'm bringing with me the audience who's going to read the book or listen to the podcast or whatever. So I got to taste Domaine Romani Conti with the owner and winemaker, Aubert de Villaine. And he actually made me do a blind tasting guessing game, which is really daunting, unnerving. And we went down to the wine cellar or the library of old bottles. And they were all cobwebby. And the only thing I noticed is they seemed to start in the early 1900s and then go up to current day. And so he said, turn around. And so I was turning around, but I noticed he was starting to pull from the middle section. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm turned. So I thought, oh, he's probably somewhere in the middle. Anyway, I had to guess. I said, 1950s. He said, very good. And then I thought, now nothing's going to help me now, because I thought, oh, roughly middle. And I wanted to say something like, well, the rains in 54, just have to rule that one out. And because I wasn't going to BS, I took a stab in the middle and went with 1956. And it was right. He thought I was some sort of savant, but really I was the idiot who was just guessing. But yeah, there's some newfound respect. And he let me, have another glass. And it was like, oh,
wow.
All right. We're friends now, right?
Okay. Woohoo. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So I can get why you'd want that on the deserted island.
Yes.
But now I'm going to flip it to, because you are a foodie. So now here's your wine. What is the one food, again, unlimited, but that's the only food other than the coconuts? What is the food that you're going to want to be there?
So because I have to maintain my health in order to drink the wine and stay alive, I would pick a comfort food like chicken parmesan. The way Miles makes it is it's very lightly breaded, and then he has a homemade tomato sauce he puts on it, and then over that, he oven bakes cheese. And it is the most glorious thing. I love it, and it's not too unhealthy. And he always asks, what do you want for dinner, with a smile on his face? Because he knows, chicken parm, please.
My husband's answer to that is pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Always pizza.
That's another good comfort
Always
food.
Pizza. All right. So Pinot Noir and chicken parm. Okay. All right. So with that, now that you're stranded on the deserted island, we're going to let you come off. We're going to, the rescue is finally going to come. But so we already said where people can find you, but what's the app and what about the socials? Where can people find you?
So my website is the hub for everything. So nataliemclean.com. And on there, you'll find the mobile app, the tools, etc. All my links to socials, which tend to be at Natalie McLean. If it's not that, it'll be at Natalie McLean Wine, if someone already snagged my name. But that's where you can find me and everything else that I do, the books, etc. Oh, I also teach online food and wine pairing classes, which is really fun. I'm loving that.
I've seen these before. How does that work? Are you sending out a list of what to buy?
Yeah, I'm not texting them the wine or anything like that, but I have students from all over the world, lots from the US, Canada, of course, but Australia, Brazil, the Netherlands, and we all gather. And it's so much fun because the real focus is on food and wine pairing, which I find is accessible to everyone. So both novices will take the course, but also even those who have a lot of certifications and professional, like sommeliers, are in there too, because a lot of the professional designations don't dive into food and wine pairing as much as I do in my courses. So welcome everybody who wants to join our happy little gang. It's a lot of fun and a lot of experimentation. And the other thing is the memoir that I'm writing right now, Lori, I'd also invite people if they want to be a beta reader. Beta reader means you just go through it and give me comments. You don't have to be a wine expert. It's just, how does this book strike you? And with your comments, I'm trying to make the book better before it is published. I have a publisher, but beta reading is a very important step in the process. So, if any of your listeners, anybody would like to be a beta reader, I welcome you.
I have a friend from college who is an author, and he started he's like, I'm just going to write this book, one book. And he's about 12 books in, and amazing writer. Like, he found this skill that he just didn't know he had. He unleashed this author in him, and his stories are incredible. And his very first book, I was a beta reader for. And it's an interesting thing. So if anybody wants to do it, give it a try. It's kind of cool because there were things I was like, I don't understand how she got from here to here, things like that, because in his brain, it made a lot of sense. So, the authors are looking for people who aren't inside their brain to hear the story. So
precisely. That's it. So again, you don't have to be an editor or a writer or a wine expert. You don't have to be an expert just to love books, wine and words, but people will catch things. It's like, oh, you just slipped into the past tense. It doesn't even have to be that technical. As you say, like a timeline that doesn't make sense, or you've introduced a character and you didn't give a first name or something, like weird stuff, right? And that is so helpful. So again, if anybody is interested, you can just email me, Natalie@nataliemclean.com.
You're very good at the marketing aspect. Just keep everything the same. Natalie McClain, Natalie
Trying.
McClain, right?
I wish I had had a simpler name, like, Pat Smith or something. But
then you probably couldn't have PatSmith.com because there would be so many.
That's true. That would have been way too hard, or I would have had to pay a lot of money for Pat Smith.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was one of the first things I learned when I was learning about marketing for the winery is be consistent. So it's Dracaena wines across the board. Everything's Dracaena wines. And when a new thing comes out, like TikTok, I don't do TikTok. But I went in and took Dracaena wines,
That's good.
So whenever the, new things come out, go in and snag your name so that somebody else doesn't. So
exactly.
That is awesome.
Good advice.
Yes. All right. So when I was on your podcast, you had the hot seat questions, the quick round. So I am resurrecting my game of opposites just for you.
Oh, thank you.
Just for you. So it is very simple. There is no right or wrong answer, and it is super, super fast.
Okay.
No right or wrong answer. All it is I'm going to give you two words that are opposites, and one of them hopefully resonates with you, and you just say which one resonates with you. So
cool.
There's no right or wrong. That's all I can say. My wonderful ending comes from a Friends episode where Phoebe is trying to get Joey, or Joey is traveling cross country and he doesn't know whether to go the north route or the south route. So this was what she did to get him to decide which way to go. So big research on my end to figure this out.
I love it. Very scientific. Yep.
So we're going to start off with non-wine related terms, and then we'll kind of get into wine related terms. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So here we go. Night or day?
Day.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunrise.
Black or white?
Black.
Walk or run?
Walk.
Food or drink?
Drink.
Old world or new world?
Oh, old world, I guess.
Sweet or dry?
Dry.
Red or white?
Red.
Bubbles or still?
Still.
Oak or stainless?
Stainless.
Drink now or drink later?
Oh, drink now, right away.
Before I even get in the door.
Yeah, exactly. Decant on doorstep.
There you go. Blend or varietal?
Oh, varietal, I guess, because Pinot. Anyway.
Vintage or non-vintage?
Vintage.
Cork or screw cap?
Cork.
Napa or Sonoma?
Ooh, Sonoma.
Commercial or indigenous?
Indigenous.
Bordeaux or Rhone or Burgundy?
Oh. Oh, 3. Oh, no, Burgundy. Should I prioritize them? Burgundy, then Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
I guess, yes. Yeah.
Warm climate or cool climate?
Cool.
See, that's it.
Oh, wow. Woo.
Okay.
What a relief. My goodness, it felt like a quiz, a school quiz or a spelling bee. It was like, oh, What am I revealing here?
It is, so it is kind of similar to that. It is similar to like what you're revealing or whatever. But so interesting is usually the people who say day, usually always say sunrise. You did say that. But then they also usually say white, and you did say black.
Yeah.
So that was a little twist of with the other thing. And then
I like wearing black, especially on a wine tour. I call them my buffet pants. So if I wear white, you're going to get spills on them first. And then you're going to look like a tub of lard for me. If you don't wear black. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking of. That's where my brain went. It was like, oh no, I have black pants for sure and a black
white
shirt.
And wine clothing definitely does not go.
Yeah.
And then usually if people say old world, they usually say drink later. And if they say new world, they usually say drink now.
Instant gratification, but with Burgundy.
Yes. So that's it. No, other than that, I'm sure there's thanks. You can thank Phoebe or whoever wrote Phoebe's lines.
I love it. And it's neat that you gave a little interpretation as well. That's cool.
Little science. You can't take the science out of me. I always got to throw that science stuff in there.
I love it. That's what makes you interesting, among many other things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me and taking time out of your day to share your story with me, because it is an incredible story. And I absolutely love meeting people who are so into wine and so down to earth at the same time. And thank you. It was my pleasure to talk to you and interview you. And I really, really hope one day we get to meet in real life.
Absolutely, Lori. This has been so much fun. Yacked away, and my interview of you last week and this one, it's just, I know we would have so much fun if we could just get together.
Yes, absolutely.
Glass or three.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And borders are open again, so
yay,
there's potential. But
absolutely.
Yeah. And honestly, this is horrible. I have not been to Canada, really. I've spent one weekend in Montreal as a girls' kind of getaway weekend, of which we drove. So we spent more time on the road than I think then. That was when we were in Jersey, so I drove up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then the only other time I've been in Canada was a gambling trip to Windsor. So we flew into Detroit and met my brother and sister-in-law and then drove over to gamble.
Oh, wow.
That was it.
Wow.
So I need to explore. And honestly, I don't even think I've had Canadian wine.
Okay. So now it's real confession time. You would love it. Like either the Okanagan or Niagara are great starting places, but even Quebec, Eastern Townships, or Nova Scotia is beautiful. They all have great wine regions that I'm sure you'd love. Like lots of wineries that have restaurants, beautiful scenery. I mean, it's just lovely places to visit.
Yeah, well, I have to get on United. And hey, United, here we go.
Yes,
you hear
that's
it.
right.
You hear it. Natalie is telling me I need to come there. So United, you need to get me there.
Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I do look forward to meeting you in person one day. And it's
absolutely
8:45 in the morning. So I do not have anything clinking with you today, but I will do a virtual
yes,
clink with you and say sláinte and enjoy your week.
Oh, you too, Lori. Bye for now.
Bye. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my chat with Lori. In the show notes, you'll find my email contact, the full transcript of my conversation with Lori, links to her podcast and website, and where you can find the live stream video version of these conversations on Facebook and YouTube Live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. You'll also find a link to my free ultimate guide to wine and food pairing. That's all in the show notes at nataliemclean.com/197. Email me if you have a tip, sip, question, or want to be a beta reader of my new memoir at natalie@nataliemclean.com. Also, this is episode 197. We're getting close to 200. Woohoo! Thank you for being there with me all along this journey. If you've got tips or suggestions on how to celebrate, whether it's maybe what to post on social media, what to do for that 200th episode, anything else, a big cake with 200 candles, might be a fire hazard, but whatever, let me know. You won't want to miss next week when I chat with sisters Sandy Dawkins and Michelle Lester, who co-host the podcast Wines to Find. In the meantime, if you missed episode 182, go back and take a listen. It's my second interview where I'm asking Lori the questions, and we talk about her views on Cabernet Franc, California's Paso Robles region, and high acidity wines. I'll share a short clip with you now to whet your appetite.
Wines have acidity. Even red wines have acidity to them, but tannins calm it down. In a white wine, when the acid is high, you take a sip and your tongue starts to salivate, kind of like if you suck on a lemon. It makes you crave another drink.
Just as you squeeze lemon on a fish because it adds that mouth-watering acidity and makes the food taste better, I think the acidity also brings forward the flavor in the wine and makes it even taste better. Acid is our friend.
Yes, there's a balance.
If you like this episode, please email or tell one friend about it this week, especially someone you know who'd be interested in the wines and stories we discussed. Thank you for taking the time to join me here. I hope something great is in your glass this week. Perhaps a wine that tastes twice as much as it cost. You don't want to miss one juicy episode of this podcast, especially the secret, full-bodied bonus episodes that I don't announce on social media. So, subscribe for free now at nataliemclean.com/subscribe. Meet me here next week. Cheers.